I'd like to call this meeting of the Princeton City Council to order. Clerk, call the roll.
Mayor Mabry?
Here.
Councilmember Newman?
Here.
Gomez?
Here.
McCall?
Here.
McCrancy?
Here. Would you please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're going to begin, please, with the oath of office for the new officer, Kelsey Kowalski. Chief's going to administer that.
All right. Thank you for joining us here this evening to welcome Officer Kelsey Kowalski to the Princeton Police Department. Kelsey started as a police explorer with the Shanahan Police Department while attending Morris High School, where she graduated in 2011. She continued her education by earning her Bachelor of Science degree in Law Enforcement and Justice Administration with a minor in Emergency Management at Western Illinois University in 2015. She began her career by working as a correctional officer for several years before moving into a patrol position. As a patrol officer with the North Pekin Police Department, she received a Mothers Against Drunk Driving Hero Award for DUI enforcement. Kelsey has spent the last 4.5 years working as a patrol officer and a detective for the Seneca Police Department. She's certified in Crisis Intervention Team, Advanced Roadside Impairment Detection, Field Training Officer, Drone Pilot, and most recently, Lead Homicide Investigator. She is joined here this evening by her mother, Ginger, sisters Julie and Becky, nieces Ella and Katie, and her nephew, William. Her badge will be pinned on her by her niece, Ella. With the addition of Kelsey to our team, we're now a full staff for the first time in the 6 years that I've been here. We're very excited to have her here and look forward to her having a long, satisfying career as a Princeton police officer.
I, Kelsey Kowalski, having been appointed to the office of police officer in the city of Princeton, in the county of Bureau and state of Illinois, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of the state of Illinois, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of police officer to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Very good. Now, what we normally do when people come for a celebration like this, we ask if they'd like to leave because we're going to go to our normal business of running the council. So I know the diehards in the back, they're sneaking out now. So Kelsey, if you'd like to sneak out with your mom and family, that'd be great. We're not offended.
Thank you very much.
We're glad you're with us, Kelsey. Thank you. Now we're going to go to public comment. Public comment is available at the beginning as well as the end of the meeting. We have you limit your comments to 3 minutes. We typically don't always respond because we may not have the information to respond to you about. And certainly you can speak at the beginning of the meeting as well as at the end, and then stick around after the meeting and talk to the council members. Anyone here for public comment this evening? Carolyn, are you?
I know.
You can say you were thinking.
I was going to let somebody else. My name is Carolyn Stahl, and I talked to the Chief Tom just a little bit earlier, but I wanted to address the council. And this is regarding the property at 526 North Chestnut, the Allen housing. It was cleaned up, and we appreciate that. But the neighbors would like to know, what is the status of the vehicles in the backyard of that property? The city was trying to acquire the title for that. Do we know the status of that? Or is it something we should talk about
Good.
afterwards?
If you go ahead with any other questions you have, and then we can we'll give you a summary if you don't mind. So any other questions you have about that?
Yes.
Okay.
And we would like to know the status of the red truck that was parked in the back, and now he's parked in the front for the last 2 weeks. And we was under the impression that the property was supposed to be kept clear and clean in the front. And then we would like to know what the status of the fines and the probably the fee for the cleanup. Is that going to be tacked onto the property for like a lien? We were wondering what the status was for both that and the city taking ownership. So we thought that was the way that was going for the process. And it might sound a little because that was a big cleanup job for the city. But now since he's done that, he hasn't mowed the yard or kept the weeds down or anything like that. Then we were wondering about, I know the city, I've talked to Amanda, and she's done a great job with at the property of 521 North Chestnut about the yard not being mowed or the weeds. And I know that's a rental house, but now, and I don't know if the city, with all the timing of that, is the city taking over that now because taking over the job for the mowing, or is it because it's getting tall again, and the bushes and the trees and stuff like that?
So I think what we'll do is, a lot of questions, I think we'll just give a brief summary, and we'd like to have you stick around after the meeting, we can go into more specifics. But Teresa, if you mind, I know this is an ongoing project we've been working on. Teresa, if you just give a little overview. I know it's hard to address every one of those things.
Well, in regards to the Hook property, and I'm going to go from Michael, actually, your notes from the last email.
Sure.
Okay. The fines that the Allens currently owe are upwards of $27,000 plus $18,000, and in addition, sounds like her mom owes some as well. So, or his mom owes some as well. In regards to the vehicles, they have been ticketed by the police department and have begun the seizure process. And I guess I'd direct that to Tom if there's any further information on that. As for the other vehicles that have been moved from the back to the front, I am not sure on that situation. So.
Okay. We were wondering how that was all coming.
Michael has sent a nice summary to debaters.
Yeah.
Okay.
Last week, I think it was. We had a lot of these questions addressed. So.
Okay, Michael.
I could forward that too if you want.
Pardon?
I could forward you that email if you want.
Would you?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've got my email. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. And typically on any vacant property or appears to be vacant or if it's in foreclosure, if the grass gets over 12 inches, the city can take action, and I think could. I mean, our goal is to get the people that own the property to take care of the mowing, and sometimes it's just a matter of giving them a nudge, but if the property is vacant and there's no one occupying it, then there's no one else to do the mowing, because a lot of times in a foreclosure, it could take a year before it goes through the system. So then the city's forced to go ahead and go in there and mow it, at least get the basic mowing done. Then we put a lien on the property with the goal of being reimbursed down on the road for our efforts. Good questions, Carolyn. Appreciate it. Any additional public comment from anyone? Okay, we're going to go ahead now for the approval of the minutes, please.
Move that we approve the minutes from our regular council meeting on June 17th, 2024. Second.
Motion and second. Any questions or comments about the minutes? Clerk call roll.
Councilmember Newman.
Aye.
Gomez.
Aye.
McCall.
Aye.
McCransky.
Aye.
And Mayor Mabry.
Aye, thank you. Now we'll go to the approval of the invoices with City Clerk Janet Henning.
In the Department of Accounts and Finances, we have $67,639.37. In the Department of Streets and Public Improvements, $182,684.50. In the Department of Public Safety, $134,329.37. And in the Department of Public Property and Utilities, $329,140.66, with a grand total of $713,793.90. Mayor, all council members present have confirmed the reviews of all invoices and are now submitted for disposition.
I move that we approve the invoices as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any questions or comments from the council about the invoices? Seeing none, clerk call roll.
Councilmember Newman.
Aye.
Gomez.
Aye.
McCall.
Aye.
McCransky.
Aye.
And Mayor Mabry.
Aye. Now we'll go on to the ordinances, please.
We have ordinance O-24-013, authorizing the sale of personal property no longer necessary or useful to the city of Princeton. This is the second and final reading.
Move that we approve ordinance O-24-013.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? That's our slightly used garbage truck that we're trying to sell. Pawn off or sell. Okay. Clerk call roll.
Councilmember Newman.
Aye.
Gomez.
Aye.
McCall.
Aye.
McCransky.
Aye.
And Mayor Mabry.
Aye. Thank you.
Next on the agenda, we have a motion to untable ordinance O-24-014, prohibiting electronic messaging signs on Main Street from BNSF tracks on the north and southerly to Boyd Avenue. This is a recommendation from the Planning Commission.
I move that we untable ordinance O-24-014.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions from the council? Seeing none, clerk call roll.
Councilmember Newman.
Aye.
Gomez.
Aye.
McCall.
Aye.
McCransky.
Aye.
And Mayor Mabry.
Aye. Thank you.
Next on the agenda then is ordinance O-24-014, prohibiting electronic messaging signs on Main Street from BNSF tracks on the north, then southerly to Boyd Avenue. Recommendation from the Planning Commission. This is the first reading.
I move that we advance ordinance O-24-014 to the second reading.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Now, at this point, we're going to have the council give some discussion before we vote on this. And how we left it from 2 weeks ago was Pete Nelson gave a good overview of the Planning and Zoning Commission's thoughts on this ordinance. And we had some discussion with the idea that we wanted to get some input from the public. And I know Michael Ziering, you're here tonight. And do you want to start, Michael, up at the podium? Just, is there any additional things that you would add for input? I know you weren't able to be here 2 weeks ago. Please.
Yeah, I would just go back to the Planning Commission really felt that their duty is to uphold the comprehensive plan and the Main Street revitalization plan. Two plans, they're long-range plans that were vetted and reviewed and took a lot of input from the city. Diminishing the amount of electronic message signs was part of both of those plans. So that was what the footing that the Planning Commission used to come up with this ordinance and push it by them onto you. So that's really all I have to add. Thank you.
Thank you. So the goal was for the council members to do some homework assignment. I know Mike McCall, he sent an email to the council and had some thoughts on it. So while we'll go around the horn here. So Mike, if you don't mind, we'll let you start, please.
Yeah, so I spoke to the planning commission a little bit. I spoke with Janet Johnson of Theme Buzz, kind of about what her goal was there and what my feelings were on it. Looking at everything, I think we have to learn to progress a little bit with the city. I understand the historical side of keeping the main street like that, but on the other hand, we have to be able to let people still have that sign out there to be able to, whether we limit, my thought was to limit the size of sign, limit the lumens on it, limit the times it can be on, maybe find a way to write that within the current zone instead of having to rezone anything. I know that was, after talking to a couple people on the planning commission, that was one of the biggest things that the residents were against, was rezoning. They're worried about a gas station coming in or something like that if we rezone that. And I can totally understand that. But if there's a way that we can write an ordinance within the zone that we have, if at all possible, I think that would be the way to go, and allow those signs, like I said, with some limits to them.
I know that Bean Buzz is in the B3 district, which is classified as professional office district, and it has a mix of business amongst the residential occupants. I believe the reason that digital signs maybe weren't allowed in B3 was because of the residents, that it's predominantly residential, and they felt that the light and the distraction of that sign isn't really what we want to do for the people that live on that street. And I looked at the land development code, and it's very specific that B3 should be excluded, and the Planning Commission has recommended banning the digital signs. I'm in favor of grandfathering those that have them, but prohibiting any future.
On all those districts from the railroad tracks to Boise?
Yes, I would support that. But I think for those that have them, unfortunately, I think they should be allowed to keep them until they break down and can't be repaired, and then we would prohibit them from replacing them.
Thank you, Jerry.
Yes.
Hector?
I mean, again, I said it last week. I don't understand some of the historical parts of it. But if you really want to advance, you can't just keep everything in the dark. I mean, let's just get rid of the lights on Main Street. And that is smarter, and it does disturb some of the residents that live close by there. Okay? And the same thing with the signs. This goes back to somewhere like years ago with the chickens when they were grandfathered in. Once those people leave, nobody else can actually have them, which doesn't give the ability for anybody to want to take responsibility and do those things to be able to continue. With signs, I mean, if the business was told right off the bat that there was not going to be anything else, do you think that the business would want to come in there to be able to go ahead and do it when they know they can't solicit new business as far as generate revenue? It is really difficult to go ahead and try to restrict somebody to be able to do that without giving them at least something that they can actually use to fight with. I'll take it to the same thing with war. It's very hard to fight something with your hands tied behind your back. I think that it should be allowed with some restrictions, as Mike had mentioned, to be able to go ahead and go from a certain time period to a certain time period. Again, these lights that are on there where people live. There's one by my house that's constantly on. Doesn't say I want it off, but it also offers safety as well. If you start doing that and you're restricting everybody, pretty soon once those signs break, because they're not going to last forever, and you're not going to have anything. So I believe that they should be allowed to reconsider to be able to go ahead and do certain things. All the other businesses that I drove around town is like everybody has a sign or another. You can't restrict somebody to be able to go ahead and generate money for that purpose.
Thank you, Hector. Marty?
I agree that I think that we should restrict the signs on Main Street. I think we should preserve what our whole city looks like. But I also think that as we move forward as a community, that we do have to think futuristic and So I believe that having a sense or a size or a type sign that would be respectful to the business could be used in, for a certain amount of time and shut off at night, or not be on after certain times, so we wouldn't interfere with any of the residents in that area. So I think we can come up with a plan that would be able to meet both sides. I'd like to see that. I would be in favor of that.
So, Marty, you were in favor of some modification of this
I am.
B3 district for digital aid?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, there's nothing
At
magical
this
about
time.
a digital
At
sign.
this time, yeah.
I mean, you can sell coffee without a digital sign. I don't know what the big hang-up is. I'm sure with some a creative sign that isn't digital, you could probably satisfy your needs as well. But
What is the problem with the digital to you?
it's the light. I think the light and the residents around it would be distracted by it.
So if they could have the lights off at night?
It could be, but yet we've got a planning commission and we've got comprehensive plans that are already been vetted that say we really shouldn't move into the digital signs because it kind of takes away from the charm of our community.
Well, who is moving to have these signs?
We have someone who wants to have a sign right now. And it sounds like this council is willing to bend and change the ordinance that we already have in place and allow such signs. I'm just saying, I don't think we should do that. I think we should leave it as it is. That's all.
So I guess I'll also say this. So if we grandfather in, this is just my opinion, but if we grandfather in, and when those signs are gone, we can't do anymore. That includes banks, includes Dairy Queen, includes we've got a gas station on Main Street right down there that can do anything. It's a lot of people. When you talk a bank and a Dairy Queen, stuff like that, it can really affect what they do when you have competition in this world. The competition keeps coming in, right? And I also feel that it possibly could prevent someone from coming in on Main Street in those areas that maybe would want a smaller sign if we were to restrict them or something like that too as part of their business model. So I'll at least throw that out there.
Well, we're here tonight for discussion and then make a recommendation or either approve this or make a recommendation to the planning commission to go back and tweak it. So obviously my disclaimer is I have electronic sign. It was put in 10 years ago. It sits low to the ground. I think it's pretty discreet. It goes off at roughly 9:30 at night. Do we really have to have it? We could live without it. It's a marketing tool. I talked with one of the banks on Main Street that would be affected by this, and I talked to the bank president about it, and his comment was they invested $35,000 in their electronic sign, and they would like to continue to have the sign, which I know we've talked about it as being an option, but also if the sign broke, they'd like to be able to fix the sign and keep it maintained and keep it going. So to them, it's part of their marketing tool. So it's a tough one. I would go with the idea that if we could send it back to the Planning and Zoning Commission with some tweaking and restrict the hours the sign is used. And I know that we're not going to mention a specific town, but over to the east, there's some of those signs that are like, wow, and it looks like an arc welder going off, and we want to not have that happening on Main Street. So my recommendation would be that we vote against this tonight, but that, again, we're going to take a roll call here on that. Send it back to Planning and Zoning and give them some guidance to go on, because we don't want them to be frustrated. They're sitting there volunteering their time, and so they want to know, is their time worthy of putting in this? And it is. I want that Planning and Zoning Commission to know that. We appreciate what they're doing. So my recommendation would be go back and tweak it, get the hours set, the amount of lumens, and maybe that size, get that size smaller, but also maybe get these signs lower to the ground, a little more friendly, in my opinion. So, any other comments from Tom? Okay, so we have it before us. We'll go ahead then and we have a recommendation to approve the Planning Commission's ordinance. It's the first reading. So if you vote yes, you're voting in favor of it.
Advancing it, we would be advancing it to the next reading.
Right.
That's
we vote no.
Yes.
It's not going to be advanced. Okay. Very good. So everybody knows what we're doing here tonight. We're good. Okay. Teresa, any comments?
No.
Okay, good.
I'm just trying to follow your analogy.
Okay, all right. Okay, so, clerk, call roll, please.
Councilmember Newman.
Vote yes to advance it to the second reading.
Gomez.
Nay.
McCall.
Nay.
McCransky.
Nay.
Mayor Mabry.
No. Okay, now we're on to item of discussion, is that correct? Okay, here we go. So, we'll go ahead and I think what we're going to do on improving the alley at 200 block of South Randolph, we'll start with, Teresa, are you up on that?
Sure. I can get it rolling, I guess.
Okay, good, please.
This has been, I think how far back this was brought to my attention, of an alley that I would describe as partially operational, but about 2/3 of it is unmaintained alleyway. And this is at the 200 block of South Randolph Street. It was brought to our attention that one of the residents would like to have that reopened mainly for safety purposes. I don't want to speak for her, but mainly for, I would call it, safety purposes. With that being said, it was brought to the street department to figure out, do we need this alley for fire and not so much police, but for fire, do we need to get back there into the back of that alley? Don't necessarily, but if we are listening to the residents, we have to listen to the residents and determine what their needs and their wants are. So that's where it was at this point. Residents did come together and signed I guess I'd call it a kind of an informal petition to have this concern addressed. In speaking with Aaron about this, it can be reverted back to the way it was if we want to go that route. Would they necessarily use it? Probably not. So we do have a concern with one piece of the property. I don't want to go into too much detail, but there is a little bit of encroachment, if that's the right word, encroachment, on where that alleyway goes. So we would have to do some discussions on that. So, but I don't want to speak for the residents. If any of the residents would like to speak up, or Pete or Michael, one of you guys want to add anything? No? Okay.
Oh, wait, there was a hand up.
Dale?
You said it probably would not be, and I can't remember what you said, if they opened it up for reasons. There's a lot of reasons it should be opened up, is because there was 2 sheds back there. Mine is one of them, and I use it all the time in the winter time. I drive back there to take my stuff back there, because otherwise I got to track through my yard's 150 feet long, and that's pretty hard for me to do in the snow. And I've always been able to drive back there, and of course, I know they've also been maintaining part of that alley with gravel and stuff, but I don't really think it's very fair that the rest of us don't get that advantage also. It is being used a lot, and the reason it's not being used as much as it is because it's being blocked. We used to have mosquito trucks go back there. We used to have snow shovel trucks go back there. They will not go back there now because they can't get through, which is not fair to the rest of us. I mean, the house behind us has all kinds of trees, and it's like almost like a wilderness, which should be cleaned out a little bit, and which attracts all the bugs and the mosquitoes and everything. So yeah, the mosquito truck does go in front of the house, but it needs to go back there like it used to do. And the only reason they stop is they can't get through, and that's really not right for everybody else. And there was a petition signed, not only one person, but there was like, I don't know how many of them that signed the petition that they want it done.
So you all have that in the back here. That's the very last page of your packet.
Now, I bought my house with the knowledge of knowing I had an alley back there that I could go back there and use. And had I not had that alley back there, I would never put my shed back there because I can't walk through my yard through the snow to get to the shed. And I put all of my Christmas stuff and everything back there in the winter time, and I go back there to get it to bring it back out, so I use the alley to do it. And also, I don't want to go into this in detail, but I also had a dog that got loose in my yard, and I went to try to get the dog, and I went to drive down the alley, and I only got a part way down, and I couldn't get all the way through, and somebody said, hey, your dog's off Rose Street. Well, I had to back up because I couldn't turn that corner because of trees and that were there, but the trees gone now. But had I not had to back up, my dog would not have been killed. It would have been with me today. And I love my dog. That was 2 years ago. I think I have the date and everything because he was at the vet. So that alley is very important to the people that have the houses there, bought the houses when the alley was there, knowing that they had the right to go back there. And as far as clearing the trees and that down, it's not that big of a deal because there's not that many trees that has to be cut down. And yeah, there's grass back there, but that can be taken care of very easy, you know. So, I mean, being that they maintain the one part of the alley for some people, I think we should all be maintained, and I think it should be open. Because when I bought my house, I was on the assumption that I had an alley back there. I put a shed back there, and now if they abandon that alley, I'm not going to be able to get through the alley because if they, I don't know what they would decide, but if they would decide to let everybody have a part of that alley, then there's going to be people, my neighbors, and that's not to say they're going to always be my neighbors. They may say, I don't want you driving through my yard to get back to your shed. So,
well, can you say your name?
Gail Hardenbaker.
And when did the alley become impassable? What year was that?
What do you mean impassable?
Impassable. Not able to get through.
Some cars, if they're small enough, can get through there, but it became unpackable little by little. There was things being built back there little by little that made the alley smaller that the other bigger trucks can't get through there.
And your garbage currently is picked up on the front?
In the front. And I know you can't do nothing about it, but there's never anybody going to bring that dog back because of what happened there. But I mean, that's my heart, you know.
Does that alleyway go all the way? Has it always just come out on the other end, or was it always kind of dead end?
It's a U-shape.
Drawings in your packet. It's U-shaped.
I mean, I'd be willing to help for anything that needs to be done to keep the alley.
Well, we'd like to get some more input. We certainly can have to come back up to the mic. I have questions. Is there anyone else in the neighborhood that would like to speak about that alley? And Hardin, is it Hardin?
Yes. Baker.
Hardin
Baker, yeah.
Yep. If you want, let's have your neighbor there speak, and then you can come back up to the
Hey,
podium.
go ahead.
Please.
Hello. I live next door to Gail. Julia Montilla. And I live at 236 something. As far as the alley, I could drive around the alley. I've always driven around the alley anytime that I want to. There's no need for the city fire trucks and that to come through. And as far as the mosquito abatement, I've seen them drive through the alley, go all the way around, and do their job. So I don't believe there's nothing back there that impedes them from going back there. It's a U-shaped alley. On one leg of the U-shaped to the north end, the buildings that are facing that alley, they have no problems getting out. The garages are there. As far as I am and Gail, we have driveways in the front, and our garages are next to the house. My neighbor to the south of me, he maintains the alley. In the back, he goes out, he sprays it for weeds, and he also blows all the weeds and everything out of the way. And Gail, in their part, she cuts part of the alley too. As far as she's been back there cutting that. And I believe the neighbor to the north also, he maintains it. So if you go back there, there is no high weeds. Everything is trimmed down. I don't see any problem with it. The only thing that's back there is a sewer line and a water line. And that's have to be maintained by the city for access to it. But as far as any emergency vehicles, there's no need for them. Fire trucks, fire hydrants in the front, the houses are here. As far as ambulance, the same thing. The houses are here. As far as the building behind us, that's a whole other issue back there because there's two properties in between us, the alley, and the building back there. So I don't see any problem with the alley, none at all. I get around it any time that I want to. So.
Julio, right?
Yes, sir.
And so, Julio, if we just, I went and visited. Has anybody gone to see this alley or walk it? I went and walked it today. I've been there a few times before in the past, but it's very intriguing. You know, you got on the far north stretch of alley. There's about 4 homes that do use it on a regular daily basis to get to their garages, and then you go make the turn and you go behind Mrs. Harden's, and then it starts to turn into grass. And there is some brush that's hanging over, and then you keep going south, and then you go to make the turn, and then that neighbor's got it all improved with some blacktop, some gravel, but there's a garage that sits back for another neighbor to go to. The neighbor with the improvements of the blacktop and the tidying it up, keeping it all tidy, unfortunately is encroaching on the alley. It's an 18-foot wide alley, and as I make my comments, I would ask Pete, I see in our packet, it shows in May of 2022, the city commission had this survey.
Correct.
And so this has been going on for a few years now.
Well, it's been going on probably since I've been in the city. So it's probably been going on for 20 years.
20 years, okay.
And there's a surveyor out there that came on the market because somebody was buying a building to the north of Gale, and they had the property surveyed, and everything is marked. It's all staked out of where the property is.
No, and this clearly, a survey shows the 18-foot wide alley, and it shows the pin. We're going to ask the council any questions. My thought is I was glad to go pay a site visit. I would ask the council if they would consider going to pay a site visit between now and the next meeting. That way you can make an educated decision on this when you see it. And then think about if you were Mrs. Harden and living there, how you would get in and out if you ever wanted to put a garage back here or get access to her shed. It could be very well that the city would just come in and clean that brush up, and then I mean, the neighbor, and he's a great guy, that the place is impeccably maintained, but when you look at your survey, he's over, in that 18-foot alley, he's over by about 6 feet of encroachment, making it a little bit of a choke point to get around that alley. So my suggestion is for this evening, if we could, unless the citizens would like to make another comment, which we're open to, is we get our council members in the next 2 weeks to go take a quick site visit. Are you game for that?
Has Aaron taken a good hard look at this location, and he has some thoughts and ideas on?
He's familiar, obviously, with the area, and he would do whatever you guys suggest needs to be done.
So it's possible to get this whole thing cleaned up if we choose.
And the big part is that the garbage trucks don't go back there.
Yeah.
Fire wouldn't go back there. Police.
Sure.
But it's more the access of the residents getting back there. So.
And there's no garages back there. Okay.
And one more comment, the garage at the south corner.
Yes.
That garage has a direct access right out to Randall Street. I mean, I see them going in and out that way.
Yep.
And when they come on and spray my trees from Taylor Way, I tell them to go around the back and spray them in the back. So they do drive back there.
And I think it'd be great to get the council to go take a look at it and then see for themselves, and they can really feel more educated on making a decision on this.
I like to be out there.
Okay. Well, and Mrs. Harden, are you good with that? The latest for just 2 weeks?
Yeah, but there's actually 2 sheds back there.
Okay. Yep. I did see 2.
For the one had to use that to get back in.
And it could very well be, like I said, it could be a compromise for each.
That would be me 1 and Gail 2.
No. There's one on Peru Street they have to get back into. There's a shed from Peru Street. The people that live on Peru, they have to get back into their shed on the other side of Cecil.
Well, I think there's progress been made, Pete, so I know that you can keep working on this, Michael, both of you, and we'll be back in 2 weeks with further discussion on our homework assignment. Very good. Thank you very much. We appreciate you being here this evening. Now we're on to the city manager report, please.
Only thing that I wanted to address is mainly having to do with the upcoming holidays. Just a reminder that holiday garbage will not be collected on Thursdays. Your Thursday route will be moved to Friday. Friday will be double route. And just a reminder, this is recycling week. So and we do have good news that the additional recycling totes that we had to purchase have been delivered. Now they need to be assembled and delivered to the residents. So those should be coming as well. And then just a reminder that we are closed Thursday here at City Hall, and then Friday we'll also be closed to the public. So if you need anything taken care of, please try to do that before Wednesday, or before the close of business on Wednesday.
Very good. Anything else, Teresa?
No.
Very good. Thank you. This evening, before we go on to Positive Princeton, we have a couple of things. First off, as a council, we are in many ways family, and we just want to say to Mike McCall, extend our condolences for the passing of his father. This past week, Mike, we extend our condolences to you, your mother, your wife, kids. We also have two city employees, that one that has been retired that passed away, and then one that's still been actively working with the city that passed away. I asked Pete Nelson to give a summary tribute, if you could please, Pete, for those two employees.
I found it interesting that I couldn't find the files on these people. So a lot of this is going to be anecdotal, but anyway, last week we lost a current employee, Ron Johnson. He had been here for 26 years, working for the Streets and Sanitation Department. He was a faithful employee, as your faithful street sweeper, mostly. But he was skilled at using any piece of equipment that we had in that department. So he was seen out on the streets all the time. He was a pretty, straight, plain guy, and I think he wanted to live life that way. And it's unfortunate that it had to come to an end so quickly. He was a farmer all of his life. He enjoyed raising cattle, and I hate to say that I don't know the breed of cattle that he was really fond of. But I think it was last summer, he was explaining to me that he had gotten his granddaughter involved in showing cattle. And he had tried for like 56 years to get a ribbon through the raising of his cattle and never got one. But with the mentoring of his granddaughter, she actually got a grand champion this year. And that was just as well for him as it was for her. Everybody, through anybody's career, there's always highs and lows, and I don't know if I would consider this high or low, but it's certainly a unique distinction. But many people may not remember that in 2012, Ron was operating city equipment on the depot platform and got hit by a train. And he survived it. He was very, very lucky. We all were very, very lucky that the train spun him around. But he came out virtually unscathed, other than really having scared to death, as all of us would be. But we appreciated his service to the community, and the citizens thank him for the time he was with us. Gino Storm was a retired employee. He'd been retired for maybe about 15 years or so. But he died last week. In fact, I think he and Ron died on the same day. They worked in the same department. Mm-hmm. And Gino, gosh, I don't know if I even have to say anything about Gino. The world is they could probably make a Hollywood movie out of his life, and it would be extremely entertaining. Gino had such a positive attitude about everything that he approached, and always had, a joke for anybody that would listen. And if you didn't want to listen, you'd listen anyway, because he'd force it on you. And some of those jokes were a little bit off color, shall we say. But Gino worked for the city about 20 or 30 years, somewhere in that neighborhood. He was in the Department of Streets and Sanitation, worked in the garbage and recycling routes. He was famous for running ahead of the truck, organizing the trash, so that the guys that were loading the trash could just load it and put it in the right compartment in the truck. I don't think you'll see that anywhere. You'll never hear of it again. People may not recall that when he was working for us, he was nominated as the Recycler of the Year in the state of Illinois, and he won. And so he got a statewide recognition for being Recycler of the Year, because he was a one-man show, just a dynamo. Made all of us look good, and everything that he did served the community. He was just an incredible outdoorsman. He probably had every inch of Princeton Township, if not beyond, implanted in his brain, and he knew exactly where he was at all times out in the wilderness. And there's a lot of wilderness areas out in Princeton and Princeton Township. People don't realize, but he knew every square inch of those. And so whatever he was in pursuit of, whether it be a deer or, gosh, who knows, fish, he was gonna get that animal or that fish. It was just a matter of time. He was involved in Princeton youth baseball for a long time as an umpire. That's a thankless job these days. But he called them as he saw them, and I think that most people felt that he was right, probably 99.9% of the time. And he also was famous in high school track, and was very very fast. And I'm not so sure he doesn't still hold a high school record or 2 or 3 for his running ability. He might even hold a state record, if I'm not mistaken, or at least on a team. He would have held it. Maybe you know.
I do.
Do you think he still holds it?
No, he doesn't.
Oh, okay.
He had a 2-mile record for a while.
Okay. All right. Well, it was impressive regardless. He trained himself by chasing rabbits and catching them. That's the old folklore, and I've basically seen him do it, so I know it's true. But I certainly want to give our condolences to Mike McCall for his father, Stephen. It's been a bad week for the city of all the people that have passed away. With these 2 gentlemen, Mike's father and our IT manager's grandmother died this week too. And so it's kind of unusual to have all of this sadness upon us all at one time, but I think we're just all here to support each other. We're all these people that work with us were the keys to our many successes over the years. We'll miss them, but we're glad that they were with us as long as they were. So ends the reading.
Very good. Nice job. Thank you.
Okay, so under Positively Princeton, we've got Victoria Yepsen as our tourism director. She's going to come up and give a quick report what's going on for July and a lot of activities. And then after that, Jenica, are you going to be able to sneak up here and talk about a few things too? Sure. Okay, please. Victoria, please.
Good evening. I just wanted to highlight some of the July events. I did write down first the 4th of July celebration at Deering Park. Blue Water Kings Band will be there, as well as food trucks and a fantastic fireworks display. Princeton Tourism will host their second street concert of the season on July 12th with Mike and Joe. Also, mark your calendars for community band concerts this month on July 7th and July 28th, which will conclude their concerts for the summer season. So if you haven't been, be sure to go this month. You also have the opportunity to see every Festival 56 production this month. Title of Show is finishing out their week this week, as well as Sea Monsters of the Deep and the R&J Shakespeare in the Park. And then they close out their season with Urinetown the Musical and Grease the Musical, as well as their Friday night cabarets. I urge you to see a show this summer if you haven't. Princeton is unique to host a professional theater company in town. We're really proud of that, so be sure to support them. Also, the farmers markets continue to take place at Soldiers and Sailors Park every Saturday from 8:30 to 1. Support your local farmers and artisans. And I also wanted to announce that the Homestead Festival Committee is actively selling the 50/50 raffle tickets this year. We are extending our 2-for-1 deal for July. So be sure to get your tickets in early and get your best bang for your buck. You can purchase those online, or we do have them for sale at City Hall currently. We'll announce some more selling locations soon. But I do have some here with me if you guys want to get any on your way out. And I think that's all. I did want to say the Sash-Seltzer Madsen building, previously the Madsen Library, they just opened Julie's Bookshop in the library, and it is amazing. Go for yourself, take your grandkids, take your kids. I went to the grand opening on Saturday, and to see the crowds of people go up the stairs was just really, really awesome. So be sure to check it out. Thank you.
Well,
she took
okay.
That's why we're here, right?
That's why we work together.
So 4th of July, please come. The vendors are going to kick off dinner. You can spend the whole evening at the park to celebrate the 4th. So bring your family. We have Farmer Smoke Barbecue, which is always a staple. He sells out quick, so make sure you get in line. Maria's Pizza is going to join us. The Boy Scouts will be there. Nostalgic. Boy Scouts, support your Boy Scouts, right? And then we're having cotton candy, which seems crazy. I hate cotton candy, but her cotton candy for some reason is amazing, so the kids are going to love it. And the fireworks display is going to be spectacular, so please come. We would love to see everybody out in the park full. Also, everything is on the south side of the park on the soccer fields. So you can set up shop and just stay there, enjoy the entertainment, and watch the fireworks. I know we've gotten a little bit of backlash. I know it's a little bit of change, but we're all going to survive. It's going to be a wonderful night, as long as the weather cooperates. Tori mentioned Farmers Market. 8:30 to 1 on Saturdays has been going wonderfully. We actually are excited because a few new vendors are going to start joining us throughout the summer. So please stop by if you can in the morning on Saturday. It's super fun. And Kelly with Milestone Bakery. If you know Flower House baked goods from before, that's Kelly, and she will be gone and sold out by 10. So make sure you get in line early because her stuff is great.
She sold out in an hour.
Yeah,
right?
she sells out like crazy. Yeah. So join us for that. The other thing I wanted to mention was Lunch in the Park. Lunch in the Park has been going wonderfully. The weather has not been so cooperative. Last year we went through unscathed with no moves to the Prouty Building. This year we've already had 2. That's okay. We're going to keep plugging along. And this Friday it is the City of Princeton and the Chamber doing Lunch in the Park and the bake sale. So please join us. What'd you say?
What's the name?
It's still a secret. We'll let you know tomorrow.
Here. for full disclosure, the mayor was there when they had the raffle or your assigning of the lunch in the park for Fridays, and it seemed like the July 5th one wasn't quite being jumped on by people. So somebody in the audience said, "Why don't you take that, Mayor?" And I don't know who that was, but I think it might have been Jenica. And so I said, sure. So Mayor Mabry and his, we call them the Mabryettes, my grandkids are going to be there, and we're serving a meal that you're going to enjoy, and the price is right. I'm treating Friday, so if you want to get into my pocket and enjoy a nice meal, come on down, and we're going to have a good time. Ambassadors also, they're working on some nice
baked goods, yep.
some baked goods, so we're excited about that. So that's this Friday.
We're already sold out, Ray. You should have said that out loud.
Okay, got it. I like that. So now we got two more things tonight in Repository Princeton. We're going to go ahead and we have the Boy Scouts are being represented tonight, and we're going to hear a report on scouting in Princeton. And with the Boy Scout group is going to be Bob Chabot, and then we have what's called the Explorers, which is being mentored by Officer Kyle Kinnaman. And then we have Mark Yaklich here, who's an Eagle Scout, a homegrown Eagle Scout that went on to college and came back to Princeton, and he works at the Metro Center in a leadership role there. So, Boy Scouts, come on up and tell your story, please.
Thank you, Ray. Members of the council. Again, my name is Bob Chabot. I think I know quite a few of you in the audience, but if you don't, my family moved here in 1981, and so we kind of think of Princeton as home. Both our kids were born, here, went through the schools, so Princeton is our home. Worked at retail for a lot. Anybody remember Hornsby? You in the audience. Worked for Hornsby's, worked at Allen Lumber when it was Allen Lumber. 27 years at Ace Hardware, retired about a year ago. I spent a lot of time volunteering. Knights of Columbus, through St. Louis Church, the OSF Community Council, and of course with the Boy Scouts Founders Patrol, Tom and I, and others working on that. So Boy Scouts and Scouting has a long history in Princeton and the surrounding area. As you entered this meeting, there are two plaques that some of you are probably well aware of as you come through the hallway that have all the names of all the Eagle Scouts that have achieved that rank. Since 1926, the first Eagle Scout on that plaque is from 1926. So we're almost at that 100-year mark of producing and developing Eagle Scouts in the Princeton area. There's a couple of Eagle Scouts in this room. We won't mention any names, Ray, but there are a few. Among those 156 young men that are on those, there's two plaques now. We had to add a second plaque. Of those 156 young men's names on those plaques, my son Christopher is one of them, and was fortunate enough to be in a troop led by Norm Harrison and our beloved mayor. Also tonight we have Eagle Scout Mark Yaklich. Mark is joining us tonight to say a few words. Mark is a graduate of St. Bede in 2019. He earned his Eagle Scout in 2017. He currently, as Ray said, is working at Princeton Park District in a leadership role. So I'll invite Mark up to share a few things about what scouting has meant to him.
Like they said, my name is Mark. I work for the Princeton Park District. Started scouting very young with Cub Scouts and continued on through Boy Scouts, and just basically guided my life. Not 100%, but it definitely aided in it a lot. I went on after high school, went down to college and studied outdoor recreation. So basically anything to do with parks and learning how to develop leaders as well as being a leader. Some of the things that scouting has obviously instilled in me are how to just take day-to-day life at ease with different sorts of skills that I learned, and really primarily with working with your hands, kind of being able to learn and to develop different sorts of life lessons that you don't learn if you aren't in that situation. So every summer, I was at summer camp, leading different merit badges and encouraging younger scouts to progressively move up and, continually getting stronger and more knowledgeable about whether that be the outdoors or any sort of topic that might be touched with any sort of merit badge, whether that be cooking or economics, there's astrology, there's all different sorts of skills that you could learn. And so basically taking that and being able to focus that into a career really instilled in me, and still does every single day, how to be a better person, and just all in all, a better citizen. I think nowadays we stray away from kind of giving the younger generation that kind of push into the outdoors. And I think COVID kind of showed us that a little bit, that you need to get out and experience things and not stay cooped up all the time. And I think with that, in this community, it's a very special thing. So it's kind of unfathomable what it's done for this community, I think, and also myself. Just kind of, it really did push me to become a better version of myself, and that hasn't stopped. And I would like to see that continue in this community. I think that's super influential idea and sort of group to have in our area.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
For that, first up now, as a custom, is called Do a Good Turn. And because Mark agreed to help me out here tonight, I'd like to present that Do a Good Turn to you. Thank you. So, Mark touched on COVID for a minute, and prior to COVID, the Lonow District, which Lonow District is defined as Bureau Putnam and LaSalle counties. At that time, pre-COVID, there was over 900 scouts at all levels, so Cub Scouts, Explorers, Boy Scouts. At present, we are just under 250 scouts in that same district. Now, again, COVID had a lot to do with that recruiting effort because you couldn't go into schools to do recruiting because of all the limitations and so on. There's currently Troop 6368, which is the troop in Princeton, currently has 11 scouts at last count. There's 4 explorers. 4 to 6 explorers, and there are no active Cub Scout packs currently in Princeton, which is really the story of where that's leading. Cub Scouts lead to Boy Scouts, and without those Cub Scouts, you don't have that progression as Mark was talking about. There's some good news. There is some positive activity to the east of us. Spring Valley, Ottawa is adding some Cub Scout troops. So Cub Scouting in the district has gone from 116 Cub Scouts to 144 Cub Scouts, which again doesn't sound like a large number, but it's a move in the right direction. As we grow Cub Scouts, we create the opportunity to advance, of course, into Boy Scouts.
Starting more units is imperative to bringing scouting back to those pre-COVID levels. The youth of our community need outlets other than sports, and sports is a great thing. I don't mean that as a negative. But if a kid is not sports inclined, scouting is a great outlet for them to possibly look at, to look for leadership and camaraderie, and to learn, as Mark shared with us. Finding a purpose, belonging. Our community needs scouting to create those future leaders. So as we talk about building future leaders, I'd like to ask Kyle Kinnaman to come up and talk a little bit about the Explorer program, if he would do that.
Thank you, Kyle. Hi guys, my name is Kyle Kinnaman. I've been with the Princeton Police Department for 2 years now, and I've been with the Explorers program for 1 year. It's myself and then also Officer Jaramillo, Alex Jaramillo. Took it over when last summer for Officer Wolf, and I will touch on being new to this program. I spoke with past advisors, and it was scouting in general in this area, not only Explorers but Cub Scouts, was much larger. And then with COVID and just everything that's happened, numbers are quite a bit smaller. So we have some ideas of how we're wanting to move forward. So traditionally, the Explorers, what we do is we have meetings with them once a month. We'll do like training scenarios. These are kids that are interested in law enforcement, corrections, stuff like that, public service. So we teach them about police and what we do as a job. They'll do active scenarios, medical training, stuff like that. And we have several students that have grown up through this program who are now graduated, and we have one right now that's doing an internship with the state police and is looking to pursue a career with the state police. So I know he appreciates and values a lot of the training that's come from our meetings and meetings, from past advisors throughout the years. But one thing that we're hoping to shift towards as well is volunteer work. So these Explorers, they come and they'll direct traffic for the 4th of July. They'll do special details for the Homestead Parade. They pound in stakes and parking signs for these events, which frees up time and efforts for the street department and the police. But we also want to move towards more volunteer work. So I guess, like as members of the community or the city council or board, if there's anything that came to your mind of, an event or something that, you need help volunteering with, this is something that, we don't want to only just teach them about how to be the police or how to, be a public servant, but instilling like good values into these kids as they grow up, teaching them that volunteer work and dedicating your time and efforts to your community and people need is important too. So that's one main thing that I wanted to get across today was, if there's anything, that you guys as a community think that, we could help with, and we'll come out. We'll help. We'll spread the mulch. Direct traffic. We'll do whatever. So I just wanted to put that out there. But as for the future of exploring in Princeton, like I said, Officer Jaramillo is also an advisor. He comes to the meetings every month, and he actually just took the position. He's going to be the school resource officer in the junior high. So he's going to take on some of that recruitment aspect. So we're hoping to get a bigger group of kids and more people interested and kind of grow them through the program as they grow older. So.
So I think what you're hopefully really kind of getting from this is we've got the younger generation of our group, and they're as excited about scouting still, and see the future needing to be adjusted a bit if we want to continue to find ways to grow scouting. I think of the many Eagle Scout projects that have been completed by those 156 Eagle Scouts that enhance the quality of life in Princeton and the surrounding areas. It's rarely a day that you can travel through Princeton and not see one of these projects that have been done by the Eagle Scouts. So why am I here? I'm asking the leaders of our community to support the growth of future leaders by providing resources, commitment, whatever we can do to build awareness of scouting. Help us with recruiting in schools, help us financially if there is a way to support that so that we can recruit scoutmasters and then mothers and fathers and things of that nature. Market scouting in our community. Help us with that so that we can get that word out. How do we let people be aware of some of what's going on? Provide training. Everybody in this room can make a difference. Together we can bring scouting back to Princeton. So that's it. I just wanted to thank Ray and Mayor Mabry and the council for allowing us to speak for a few minutes. We do have an opportunity if you'd like to support financially. Tori's selling tickets, so can I. So we have a raffle also that we're doing to benefit scouting. And Second Story has partnered with us to sell these raffle tickets. $20. It's I gave you a copy of the raffle. It's a nice package that was donated by a local business. I will say that they'd rather remain anonymous, but it's a Eagle lawnmower, blower, hedge trimmer, batteries. It's about a $1,000 package of outdoor power equipment that some friends of mine gave us to allow us to raffle off. So we appreciate that. Again, if anybody is interested in a ticket, I'll be around after the meeting trying to get in front of Tori. So, any questions on any of that? Any questions on scouting that I can help with? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Good program. So, under Positively Princeton, what we're doing is we're all learning as a council what's out there. And one of the things that intrigued me was the Youth Service Bureau, which was located for quite a few years out on the far west side of Princeton, out in the Corn Belt building. They acquired the building on North Main Street that was previously Family Video. So I had no clue what the Youth Service Bureau does. And I called and I talked with Beth Osmond. She's in charge of marketing and of the organization, and asked if she'd come speak to us and say to us, what does Youth Service Bureau do? So Beth, we're glad to have you. Please come up.
Thank you so much, Mayor and City Council. I appreciate the opportunity to tell you more about our organization. I'm going to start by handing you some. The ones I gave you earlier were the wrong version, so that's the right one. Youth Service Bureau is an organization that serves 20 counties in northern Illinois. We go from the Illinois Valley, which is in our name. Youth Service Bureau of Illinois Valley is our full official name. And we started almost 50 years ago. We're headquartered in Ottawa, and I know we've been in Princeton for over 20 years, and I suspect that we had a presence in Princeton from almost the very beginning, because we, again, had that Illinois Valley roots. What we do is we help children and families succeed by serving them in their homes, their schools, their communities, and that is incredibly vague, right? So I'm going to drill down a little bit on some of the services we provide, because we do have our really nice new building out where Family Video used to be. It makes us much more visible in the community, and we are here to serve. So in those 20 counties from the Illinois Valley on up north, we have a number of different programs, and I'm going to highlight tonight the ones that we do here in this area. So out of our Princeton office, our biggest program here and everywhere is our foster parenting program. DCFS, the Department of Children and Family Services, when children are unable to remain safely in their homes, or there's a suspicion that that might be the case, DCFS is called. They do an investigation. If they determine that that is not a safe place for those children, and that's never a decision that anyone takes lightly, but if it's not safe for those children, we're one of the agencies that they can call in order to find a foster family for a child or a family of children. That can be on an emergency basis. It can be just for a few days, or it can be something that ultimately is more of a long term. Some foster care agencies specialize in kids who are probably going to be adopted. So, whose family situation is such that they're probably going to be removed permanently from the care of their parents and adopted into a new forever home. That's not what we do. That's not primarily what we do. It's not our focus. We do occasionally have children who are in our foster care system who are then adopted into a permanent home. But we encourage people who are willing and able to open up their homes on a more temporary basis to care for children for a short amount of time who need that safe space to live. And I want to read you a quote from one of the parents, actually, whose children were removed from her home. Thank heavens for YSB. Wow, that's not something you would expect to hear from someone whose children were removed from her care. She goes on to say, "It was the worst day of my life when my kids were taken away. YSB stepped in and helped. I'm so grateful. My kids are back with me now, and through YSB, we have the support that we need to make things better for all of us." And that's our goal, is to provide safe and stable homes for these kids. And sometimes we need other folks in the community to step in and help us do that. So that's my big pitch. There's a placard right up there with the QR code. If you're interested in learning a little bit more about being one of those homes, please scan that code, fill out a short form, and one of our licensing specialists will get in touch and tell you more, tell you how to get the ball rolling if that's something you decide to pursue. And it's certainly not something that you're going to decide lightly. But if you're interested in learning more, we're happy to help. So, foster care, we have over 24 children, I think. I don't have up-to-date numbers, but we have over 24 kids in Bureau, Putnam, and Marshall counties who are in care. LaSalle County is lots more. Focusing on you guys out here. So that's a really, really important part of what we do. Related, very closely related to that, is our Intact Family Services program. And what our Intact group does is when DCFS goes out and they investigate a home where the children are potentially not in the best situation, the DCFS may decide, well, it's not great, but we don't want to remove them from the home. Like I said, that's a decision that no one makes lightly. So what they will do then sometimes is refer them to a program like our Intact Family Services group. And what those folks do is they go in and work with the kids and families while the kids are still in their home with their biological parents. They can provide counseling, they can help with job searches, they can help with just wraparound services, getting those parents what they need in order to improve the home life for the kids and the whole family, and making sure that they don't end up in the foster care system. We also have our Hispanic Services group that serves this area. Mario and his team are based in Mendota, but they serve Bureau, Marshall, Putnam, and Grundy counties, and they provide interpretation and translation for police departments, for hospitals, anytime that a family is involved that with official services and they need help understanding what's being presented to them, Mario and his team can come in and do that interpretation. They also work with members of the communities that are not native English speakers who need help connecting with services that they are eligible for, like SNAP, like housing, all those kinds of things. So they will connect folks with those services. I was very excited to hear about your volunteers because last week we had our first of 3 or 4 food pantry, mobile food pantry events in Depew, Illinois, which is not too far from here. We would love to help. Some 4th Tuesday, and I'll connect with you after the meeting.
Sure.
Mario team connected with Riverbend Food Bank. They're out of Davenport, Iowa. They're on the Iowa-Illinois border. And they came out and did a food pantry that was open to everybody in the community. We served over 75 families in that one morning, and we're going to do it again next month and the month after that. And then hopefully with the help of Riverbend and our Hispanic Services team, we're going to get a more permanent food pantry set up in Depew. The one that was there closed down a couple of years ago, some time ago. I shouldn't say a couple of years, I'm not sure how long, but closed down. And especially with the closing of the factory in Depew, there's a lot of need in that community. So our team took the lead on contacting Riverbend and brought them in, and we're going to get some food assistance. So helping families in whatever way we can. Finally, in the Illinois Valley, we have counseling. Our counselors work with children who are referred through our foster system, through our intact services, but they also work with members of the public. They can accept most private insurances, they can accept Medicaid, and they have a sliding fee scale for private pay if folks don't have insurance. So again, up on my handy-dandy little plaque there, I've got some Post-it notes that have information about connecting directly with our counseling services. Adults, teens, families, children, couples, they provide all kinds, all kinds of counseling. And then finally, and these two are a little bit similar. We have our runaway and homeless youth services, and we have our homeless youth prevention. And the folks in those programs work with, as it says on the label, runaway and homeless youth. One of the things that I learned when I started working with YSB a little over a year ago was I had never thought of homeless teens. I always assumed it was the teen leaving the home, right? You're homeless, you think they've run away. Or not homeless, but runaway teens. It is often, distressingly often, that the kids are locked out of the home by the parents. Parents have just said, I'm washing my hands of this, I can't handle you anymore, you can't come home. So, kids who are in that situation, whether they've been locked out or whether they've run away, they can contact our 24-hour crisis line, and the folks on those teams will help them with immediate services. They will find them a safe place to stay. And that's another great need, our foster homes for that emergency care. And then they will try and help mediate the conflict, the peer relationships, the delinquency, those problems, and try and help the family come together and be reunited and have that teen again safely at home. When they can't, then it goes a little bit further into perhaps a foster care referral, or depending on the age, the teen may also work with our homeless youth prevention group that does transitional living support. We have a few apartments where kids who are a little bit older can live in a supported way, and at that time, while they're doing that, they're learning job skills, they're getting educational support and life skills. to help them be successful adults on their own, perhaps a little sooner than they might be ideal. We do have some other programs, juvenile justice, some our Hope House for supervised visitation, our parenting program that serve different areas of our 20 county range, but that don't apply here. But if you're interested, there's more information in these brochures that I'm going to leave there. On our website, of course, there's information, and I am happy to answer any questions now or in the future. Please feel free to reach out. Thank you.
Beth, you're going to stick around for a few minutes after the meeting?
I sure can.
Glad to have you. Thank you. Good. Thank you, Beth. So we're going to wrap this up tonight. I know it's going to be a little longer meeting. I just want to say one last thing under the Positive Princeton. It's interesting when you are out on Main Street, and as I like to water the plants, but I always greet people. And just Sunday alone, it's very interesting. I ran into 3 different couples. There's a retired couple from LaGrange, and they came down on Amtrak. They came down on a Friday. They spent Friday and Saturday night at the Flats, the Airbnb that's run by the Kitesters, and they took in Festival 56. They went to our community concert, and this is their 3rd time visiting Princeton. They love to come down to Princeton. A second couple I met, they were from Denver, Colorado. They were up at the Soldiers and Sailors Park, and they were walking around and looking at the monument, and I introduced myself, and they said that they traveled from Denver, Colorado out to Connecticut to visit their kids, and on the way back, they do this twice a year. They've been staying in Ottawa, and this is off the record, by the way, don't mention this, but anyway, they said next time they come, they're going to stay in Princeton. They really enjoy Princeton, and they are just really nice couple. And then the third husband-wife team I met is a over-the-road trucking company couple that they had to lay over in Princeton for 24 hours, so they parked their semi, and they walked downtown, and when I caught up to them, they were taking selfies in the big red chair. It was just kind of cute. And I pulled over and introduced myself, and the lady that was in the chair, her husband was taking a picture. She said, "Are we in trouble?" I said, "Oh, no, ma'am." I said, "We're glad to have you." And so they went ahead and continued their walk downtown, and they enjoyed the community concert as well on Sunday. So 3 distinctly different couples who were visiting Princeton, all with positive experiences to tell about Princeton. So I would just encourage the council and people in the community, when you see somebody, just stop and introduce yourself. Just say hello. And I think it's a way for us to extend a friendliness of our community that we generally have here in Princeton. So thank you for everyone presenting Positive Princeton. Thank you.
Okay, is there any old business coming before the council this evening? Is there any new business? Is there any additional public comment? Seeing none, Sherry, if you would.
Yes. I move that we adjourn our regular meeting this evening and reconvene for our next council meeting on Monday, July 15th, 2024, 6 p.m. at City Hall.
Motion is second. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Newman.
Aye.
Gomez.
Aye.
McCall.
Aye.
McCransky.
Aye.
And Mayor Mabry.
Aye. Thank you. This meeting is adjourned. Feel free to stick around and talk to your council people. Thank you.